Hey everyone, before we dive into today's AI animated zombie adventure, I want to give you a heads up. This content may be intense, and viewer discretion is advised. If you're sensitive to graphic or scary scenes, you might want to skip this one. Let's get started.
In the dimly lit corridors of Hospital Evil, an ominous presence loomed hidden behind the facade of a reputable medical institution, unbeknownst to the unsuspecting patients seeking treatment. The hospital was at the center of a nightmarish criminal enterprise, the global black market for organs. Dr. Victor Mallory, a once respected surgeon, had succumbed to the allure of immense wealth and power. Deep in debt and morally bankrupt, he became the mastermind behind the illicit organ trade. Thriving within the hospital's walls, operating under the shadows, he had assembled a team of unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers who shared his insatiable greed. The operating rooms of Hospital Evil became chambers of horror, where the desperate cries of innocent victims echoed through the cold, sterile air. Dr. Mallory, clad in surgical scrubs stained with the blood of his victims' ruthlessly harvested organs, with livers being a particularly coveted commodity. Everyday visitors to the hospital, unaware of the sinister machinations at play, fell victim to the merciless hands of these malevolent doctors. As the global black market flourished, lives were destroyed both physically and emotionally. Families mourned loved ones who had disappeared within the walls of Hospital Evil, their bodies reduced to mere vessels for the insidious trade. Bad operations became the norm, leaving survivors scarred and broken, their lives forever marred by the grotesque actions of those they had trusted with their well-being. A group of courageous doctors and their determined assistants, appalled by the atrocities taking place, attempted to expose the truth and bring Hospital Evil to justice. However, their efforts were in vain, as they faced insurmountable obstacles. Powerful figures within the hospital and beyond wielded their influence to quash investigations, ensuring that the macabre trade continued unabated. The deeper the group delved into the heart of the conspiracy, the more elusive their prey became. Dr. Mallory, always one step ahead, covered his tracks with a web of deceit and corruption. The hospital's dark secret remained hidden, shielded by the veil of authority that protected those involved in the illicit organ trade. As the group's resolve wavered and their numbers dwindled, the horrors within Hospital Evil persisted. The insatiable demand for organs fueled the criminal enterprise, with harvested body parts being shipped to the highest bidders around the world. The hospital's operating rooms became a nexus of evil, where the line between life and death was blurred, and the cries of the innocent were drowned out by the cold machinery of greed. And so Hospital Evil continued its malevolent operations, thriving in the shadows, its walls concealing the monstrous deeds perpetrated within the global black market for organs continued to flourish, casting a dark shadow over the medical profession and leaving a trail of shattered lives in its wake. As the malevolent operations at Hospital Evil continued unabated, a sense of despair settled over the courageous group of doctors and their assistants. Dr. Mallory's influence extended beyond that hospital walls, reaching high-ranking officials and influential figures who were complicit in the nefarious trade. Every attempt to expose the truth was met with a swift and forceful shutdown, leaving the group demoralized and helpless. The unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers working under Dr. Mallory reveled in their gruesome work, driven by a twisted combination of greed and a misguided sense of superiority. Some had become desensitized to the horrors they inflicted upon their victims, while others justified their actions with a warped sense of necessity. The hospital had become a breeding ground for the darkest aspects of human nature, where morality was discarded in favor of profit. Operating rooms within Hospital Evil transformed into macabre theaters of horror, where the walls witnessed unspeakable acts. Everyday visitors seeking medical care and unaware of the lurking danger became unwitting donors. Livers were harvested with precision, leaving behind a trail of lifeless bodies and shattered families. The once sterile environment became tainted with the stench of death, and the operating tables bore witness to the cruel dance of those who traded humanity for wealth. The lives of those who survived the butchery were forever scarred. Patients who emerged from the operating rooms of Hospital Evil faced a bleak existence, their bodies mutilated and their trust in the medical profession shattered. Many suffered from chronic pain, infections, and psychological trauma, forced to live with the consequences of a hospital that preyed on their vulnerability. Despite the group's relentless efforts to expose the truth, the higher powers protecting Hospital Evil seemed insurmountable. Investigators were silenced, evidence mysteriously disappeared, and witnesses were intimidated into silence. The doctors and their assistants found themselves trapped in a nightmarish labyrinth, their pursuit of justice leading only to dead ends and closed doors. As the group's numbers dwindled, a sense of desperation took hold. Some members faced personal tragedies, loved ones falling victim to the very horrors they sought to eradicate. The line between right and wrong blurred as the group grappled with the weight of their mission, yet a flicker of determination remained in their eyes, fueled by the memory of the lives lost and the innocent souls still trapped within Hospital Evil. In the heart of this medical abyss, a revelation unfolded, a revelation that would shake the foundations of the illicit organ trade. Hidden file, secret recordings, and a network of whistleblowers emerged, shedding light on the darkest corners of the hospital's operations. The group, armed with newfound evidence, prepared for a final desperate push to bring Hospital Evil to its knees. Little did they know that the deeper they delved, the more sinister the truth would become. The hospital's ties reached beyond borders, intertwining with global powers that thrived on the trade of human organs. The group faced not only the challenge of exposing a corrupt institution, but also dismantling a network of influence that spanned continents. As the story unfolded, the fate of Hospital Evil hung in the balance. Would the group succeed in their quest for justice, or would the darkness that enveloped the hospital continue to cast its shadow over the lives of the innocent? The answer remained uncertain, shrouded in the chilling echoes of the operating rooms where unspeakable horrors persisted. As the group delved deeper into the nightmarish depths of Hospital Evil, a chilling revelation emerged, one that would shatter the perceptions of both the characters and the unsuspecting public. Behind the facade of the hospital's malevolent organ trade lay a dark secret rooted in supernatural horror. The unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers, driven by their insatiable greed, were not only motivated by monetary gain, but by an ancient malevolent force that had woven its tendrils into the very fabric of Hospital Evil. Dr. Mallory, initially perceived as the orchestrator of the sinister plot, had unwittingly become a vessel for a malevolent entity that thrived on the suffering of the innocent. The operating rooms, once sterile environments meant for healing, were now conduits for dark rituals. The surgeons and traffickers, unknowingly bound to the entity's will, carried out grotesque acts that transcended the boundaries of human morality. Livers were harvested not only for profit, but as sacrificial offerings to an otherworldly power that demanded the ultimate price. The lives of those who fell victim to the horrors of bad operations were not only destroyed physically and emotionally, but also spiritually. The malevolent entity fed on the anguish of the patients, their suffering intensifying its insatiable appetite. As organs were callously removed, the very essence of the victims became entangled with the ancient force, their souls forever marked by the darkness that enveloped Hospital Evil. Attempts to take down the hospital were met with supernatural resistance. The higher powers protecting the illicit organ trade were not merely corrupt individuals, they were pawns in a cosmic game played by forces beyond comprehension. Investigations were thwarted not just by earthly influence, but by the malevolent entity itself, manifesting its power through nightmarish visions, haunting whispers, and gruesome apparitions. The group of doctors and Their assistants, now grappling with the realization that their adversary transcended the mortal realm, faced a dilemma: how could they combat an evil that defied the laws of nature? The answer lay hidden within the secrets of the hospital's dark past and the ancient rituals that had bound the malevolent force to its walls as the group ventured further into the twisted history of hospital evil. They uncovered forgotten chambers beneath the hospital where ancient symbols adorned the walls and long-forgotten incantations whispered through the air. The malevolent entity, once a force unleashed by misguided ambition, could only be quelled by the very rituals that had bound it to the hospital centuries ago. Armed with newfound knowledge, the remaining members of the group faced a harrowing journey into the heart of darkness. They navigated labyrinthine tunnels and faced spectral apparitions, all while confronting their deepest fears and the malevolent entity's attempts to drive them to madness. The climax unfolded within the bowels of Hospital Evil, where a final desperate ritual was performed to sever the entity's ties to the mortal realm as the group struggled against supernatural forces. The hospital itself seemed to rebel, its foundations shaking with an otherworldly rage. In a blinding burst of ethereal light, the malevolent entity was banished, its influence extinguished like a malevolent flame. The hospital, now devoid of the supernatural darkness that had plagued it, stood eerily silent. The group emerged from the depths, survivors scarred by both human and supernatural horrors. The truth about Hospital Evil, once concealed in the shadows, was exposed to the world. The global black market for organs crumbled, and the higher powers protecting the illicit trade were left powerless. In the wake of the supernatural purge, the survivors, haunted by the memories of the unspeakable horrors they had witnessed, vowed to ensure that the malevolent entity would never again cast its shadow over the realm of the living. And so the tale of Hospital Evil became a cautionary legend, a reminder that even the darkest secrets could be vanquished when faced with unwavering courage and a willingness to confront the supernatural horrors that lurked within the shadows of the human soul. In the aftermath of the supernatural purge that cleansed Hospital Evil, an eerie calm settled over the once dreaded institution. The malevolent entity banished from the mortal realm left behind an atmosphere thick with lingering horror. The survivors, though victorious, were forever marked by the indelible scars of their harrowing journey, as the truth about Hospital Evil and its grisly organ trade came to light. A global reckoning ensued. The survivors became reluctant heroes, sharing their nightmarish experiences to expose the depths of human depravity that had festered within the hospital's walls. The global black market for organs crumbled as authorities worldwide cracked down on the remnants of the illicit trade, dismantling networks that had thrived in the shadows. However, the lives destroyed by the evil hospital were not forgotten. Families of the victims sought solace and justice for their loved ones, haunted by the knowledge that their kin had been callously butchered for profit. Legal battles ensued, and the surviving doctors and traffickers faced trial for their heinous crimes. The courtrooms became arenas where the horrors of Hospital Evil were laid bare for the world to witness. Yet as the survivors attempted to rebuild their shattered lives, a sinister undercurrent persisted. Whispers of a new clandestine operation emerged, a successor to Hospital Evil, where the malevolent entity's influence had taken root. Once again, the survivors, driven by a lingering sense of duty, found themselves drawn into a web of intrigue that threatened to unleash fresh horrors upon the world. The higher powers that had shielded Hospital Evil still exerted their influence, manipulating the legal system to protect their interests. Investigations were stifled, witnesses disappeared, and the survivors faced a new breed of adversaries, ones with connections that reached into the highest echelons of power. The cycle seemed destined to repeat, with a new hospital becoming a breeding ground for unspeakable atrocities. The survivors, now seasoned by their previous ordeal, embarked on a new quest to expose the resurgence of evil. Armed with the knowledge gained from their previous battle, they delved into the heart of the new hospital, a labyrinthine structure that mirrored the malevolence of its predecessor operating rooms once again became theaters of horror, where the twisted legacy of hospital evil lived on. The doctors and their assistants faced not only mortal adversaries, but supernatural manifestations that echoed the dark past. Ghostly apparitions and echoes of malevolent laughter reverberated through the hallways, threatening to consume the brave souls seeking to unravel the secrets of the revived. Horror. The survivors navigated treacherous terrain where reality and nightmare intertwined, blurring the lines between sanity and madness as the group uncovered the truth behind the new hospital's dark resurrection. They faced a revelation that sent shivers down their spines. The malevolent entity thought banished had found a new vessel, a charismatic figure who had risen to prominence within the hospital's hierarchy. The entity's insidious influence extended beyond the mortal realm, manipulating the living to carry out its sinister designs. The survivors, now facing a dual threat of mortal and supernatural adversaries, confronted the embodiment of evil within the hospital's bowels. A final desperate battle unfolded as the group fought not only for their lives, but for the souls of those trapped in the malevolent entity's clutches. The line between the living and the otherworldly blurred, and the hospital itself seemed to pulse with a malevolent heartbeat in a climactic showdown. The survivors once again prevailed. The malevolent entity, stripped of its vessel, dissipated into the ether, leaving the hospital in a state of eerie stillness. The survivors emerged from the ordeal battered and bruised. Their battle against the forces of darkness etched into their very beings. The renewed threat of evil had been thwarted, but the scars of the survivors ran deep. The world, now aware of the insidious nature of such malevolence, stood vigilant against the resurgence of horrors like those that had unfolded within the walls of hospital evil. The survivors, forever changed by their odyssey, vowed to remain guardians against the shadows that sought to consume the light of humanity. In the aftermath of the supernatural confrontations at hospital evil, a deceptive calm settled over the institution, concealing the malevolent forces that continued to thrive within its walls. The survivors, scarred by their previous encounters, were left to grapple with the traumatic aftermath of their battles against both human and supernatural adversaries. The global black market for organs, seemingly dismantled by the exposure of hospital evil's crimes, proved resilient. A clandestine network of unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers persisted, adapting to the evolving landscape of illicit trade. As the survivors attempted to expose the new iteration of horror, they found themselves ensnared in a web of corruption that reached far beyond the hospital's walls. The malevolent influence within the hospital had taken a new form, a shadowy cabal that operated in the highest echelons of power. Those who sought to bring the perpetrators to justice were met with formidable resistance. Investigations were stifled, witnesses silenced, and evidence conveniently misplaced. The survivors were caught in a nightmarish cycle as the malevolent forces continued their vile deeds. With impunity, operating rooms once again became arenas of horror, where the twisted legacy of hospital evil persisted. The unscrupulous surgeons, driven by a toxic combination of greed and a distorted sense of purpose, continued to butcher unsuspecting victims for profit. Livers, hearts, and other vital organs were extracted with precision, leaving behind a trail of shattered lives and broken families. Everyday visitors to the hospital seeking solace and healing unwittingly became fodder for the insidious trade. The malevolent cabal had perfected the art of concealment, orchestrating their dark rituals beneath the veneer of medical professionalism. The survivors, haunted by the memories of their previous battles, knew that time was running out to unveil the truth and thwart the ongoing horrors. As the survivors delved deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of corruption, they discovered the true motive behind the malevolent cabal's actions. Beyond the insatiable desire for wealth and power, the group unearthed a twisted ideology that sought to manipulate the very fabric of human existence. The surgeons and traffickers believed that through the ruthless harvesting of organs, they could achieve a perverse form of immortality transcending the boundaries of mortality. The survivors, faced with a foe driven by delusional aspirations of Guardhood grappled with the enormity of the challenge before them. The malevolent cabal, bolstered by influential figures and supernatural forces, seemed invincible, yet the survivors clung to a flicker of hope fueled by the memory of the lives lost and the innocents trapped within the hospital as walls. In a desperate bid to expose the truth, the survivors hatched a daring plan that involved infiltrating the inner sanctum of the malevolent cabal operating in the shadows. They gathered evidence and rallied support from unlikely allies, those disillusioned by the horrors perpetuated in the pursuit of twisted immortality. The climax unfolded within the bowels of the hospital, where a final confrontation between the survivors and the malevolent cabal took place. Operating rooms became battlegrounds, and the air crackled with supernatural energy as the forces of good clashed with the malevolent intent of those who sought to play at being gods in a whirlwind of violence, betrayal, and supernatural chaos. The survivors emerged victorious. The malevolent cabal's delusions of godhood were shattered, and the dark forces that had fueled their atrocities were banished. The hospital, once a breeding ground for unspeakable horrors, stood silent as the malevolent influence dissipated. The survivors, weary but resolute, emerged from the ordeal with a solemn understanding that battle against darkness was unending, and evil could manifest in myriad forms. As they sought to rebuild their lives and heal the wounds left by the malevolent forces, the survivors remained vigilant, knowing that the shadows could never be fully eradicated. The tale of hospital evil became a cautionary legend, a reminder that the fight against malevolence required unwavering courage, resilience, and an unyielding commitment to expose the truth no matter how deeply it was buried. The survivors, now guardians against the encroaching darkness, carried the weight of their experiences, determined to prevent the resurgence of horrors that lurked within the human soul. As the survivors grappled with the relentless resurgence of horror within the walls of hospital evil, a sense of futility threatened to overshadow their determination. The malevolent forces at play had proven to be not just a manifestation of greed and corruption, but a dark and insidious entity that seemed to feed on suffering. The survivors, united by their harrowing experiences, sought to unravel the twisted motives behind the unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers who continued their gruesome trade. It became clear that the malevolent entity had infiltrated not only the hospital but also the minds of those who perpetuated the vile deeds. The surgeons, once driven by greed, now exhibited a fanatical devotion to a higher malevolent purpose. Operating rooms within hospital evil were once again transformed into nightmarish realms where the surgeons, fueled by the twisted ideology, performed unspeakable acts. Everyday visitors, unsuspecting patients seeking care, became unwitting victims in the macabre ritual of organ harvesting. Livers, hearts, and other vital organs were extracted with a precision that bordered on the supernatural. The lives destroyed by the bad operations were not just physical casualties, they were pawns in a larger malevolent game. Families shattered by loss sought answers, their grief compounded by the realization that their loved ones had fallen prey to a sinister force that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. The survivors, undeterred by the seemingly insurmountable odds, intensified their efforts to expose the truth. They delved into the dark history of the hospital, unearthing forgotten secrets and forbidden knowledge that hinted at the ancient origins of the malevolent entity. The answers lay within the bowels of the hospital, where forgotten chambers and hidden passages revealed the unholy pact that bound the malevolent force to its walls. As the survivors navigated the treacherous terrain of the hospital, they encountered spectral manifestations and nightmarish apparitions. The malevolent entity sought to break their spirits, using the psychological horror of the supernatural to sow dissent. Among the group, the survivors clung to their resolve, knowing that the battle extended beyond the physical realm. With each revelation, the survivors drew closer to the heart of the malevolent force. The surgeons, now mere vessels for the entity S, operated with an otherworldly precision that defied the laws of medicine. The survivors, armed with the knowledge of the entity S, weakness hatched a daring plan to sever its connection to the mortal realm. The climax unfolded within the depths of the hospital, where the survivors confronted the surgeons and traffickers in a final desperate battle. Operating rooms became battlegrounds between the forces of light and darkness. The malevolent entity, realizing its vulnerability, unleashed a torrent of supernatural horrors. In a bid to protect its unholy alliance with the surgeons, in a climactic struggle the survivors prevailed. The surgeons, liberated from the malevolent force's influence, recoiled in horror at the atrocities they had committed. The entity, stripped of its vessels, dissipated into the ether, leaving the hospital in a state of eerie stillness as the survivors emerged from the ordeal. They knew that the battle against evil was not easily won. The malevolent force had been banished, but its echoes lingered in the scars of those who had been touched by darkness. The survivors, now burdened with the knowledge of the ancient malevolence that lurked within the hospital, vowed to remain vigilant guardians against the encroaching shadows. The global black market for organs, once again dismantled, left a void that the survivors knew could be filled by new iterations of horror. The group, scarred but resilient, turned their attention to the world beyond hospital evil. Their quest for justice and the prevention of further atrocities became a lifelong commitment, a testament to the indomitable human spirit's capacity to confront the darkest corners of existence. The tale of hospital evil became a warning etched into the annals of horror, a testament to the enduring battle between light and darkness and the unwavering courage of those who dared to confront the malevolent forces that sought to prey upon the vulnerable. The malevolent legacy of hospital evil persisted, casting a long shadow over the lives of those who had crossed its threshold. The hospital, now a symbol of unspeakable horror, remained shrouded in darkness as a new chapter in the macabre tale unfolded. The unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers, undeterred by the exposure of their predecessors, adapted their methods to elude justice. Operating rooms within the hospital became clandestine theaters of brutality, where unsuspecting visitors fell victim to the insatiable greed that fueled the global black market for organs. Livers, hearts, and other vital components were extracted with surgical precision, leaving behind a trail of broken bodies and shattered lives. The motives behind this gruesome trade extended beyond mere financial gain. The surgeons and traffickers, now operating under a veil of secrecy, were drawn to a malevolent force that whispered promises of power and immortality. The twisted ideology that had infected their minds compelled them to believe that by harvesting organs, they could attain a form of transcendence, becoming masters of life and death. Everyday visitors to the hospital seeking solace and healing unwittingly entered a realm of horror. The surgeons, manipulated by the malevolent force, operated with an efficiency that defied the laws of medicine. Families were torn apart, their loved ones reduced to mere commodities in the insidious trade that thrived within the hospital as walls. The survivors of previous encounters with hospital evil, haunted by the memories of their battles, once again rallied against the malevolent forces. However, the hospital had become a fortress of darkness, guarded by higher powers that extended beyond the reach of mortal investigation. The survivors faced a daunting challenge. The malevolent cabal had entwined itself with influential figures who wielded immense power and could quash any attempts to expose the truth. As the survivors delved into the labyrinthine corridors of corruption, they encountered a new breed of adversaries, men and women draped in shadows, their faces hidden behind masks of authority. The investigators found themselves entangled in a web of manipulation where evidence disappeared, witnesses were silenced, and justice seemed an elusive dream. Operating rooms once again became battlegrounds as the survivors waged a desperate war against the malevolent forces. The surgeons, now fanatically devoted to the cause, operated with a chilling detachment, their actions guided by an otherworldly force. The survivors, burdened by the weight of their past failures, fought not only for justice, but to prevent the malevolent ideology from spreading further. In the heart of the hospital, where the malevolent force pulsed like a dark heartbeat, the survivors uncovered a revelation that sent shivers down their spines. That malevolent force had not only survived, but evolved, merging with the very essence of the hospital itself, its tendrils reached beyond the physical realm, manipulating reality and blurring the boundaries between life and death. The survivors faced a choice: succumb to the overwhelming darkness, or confront the malevolent force head-on. Armed with newfound knowledge and an unyielding resolve, they embarked on a perilous journey into the heart of the malevolent entities. Their operating rooms became surreal landscapes where reality twisted and contorted, challenging the very fabric of their sanity. In a climactic showdown, the survivors confronted the malevolent force, facing horrors that transcended the physical and delving into the darkest recesses of the human psyche. The surgeons, once vessels of malevolence, recoiled as the entity's influence waned. The hospital, its foundations shaken by the battle between light and darkness, stood on the precipice of collapse. As the survivors emerged from the surreal battlefield, the hospital crumbled behind them, consumed by the malevolent force's final phrase. The survivors, battered but triumphant, witnessed the once dreaded institution reduced to rubble, a testament to the indomitable human spirit's ability to overcome the darkest of adversaries. The survivors, now burdened by the scars of their prolonged ordeal, faced the daunting task of rebuilding their lives. The malevolent force, though vanquished for the moment, left an indelible mark on their souls. The survivors knew that the battle against darkness was perpetual, and they remained vigilant guardians against the resurgence of horror that lurked within the human heart. The tale of hospital evil, now a cautionary legend etched into the annals of horror, served as a stark reminder that evil could take many forms, and that the fight against malevolence required unwavering courage and a commitment to face the shadows that sought to consume the light of humanity. In the aftermath of the crumbling hospital evil, the survivors thought they had finally put an end to the horrors that had plagued them. However, a new chapter of darkness unfolded as whispers of a clandestine resurrection spread like a malignant virus. The global black market for organs found new life, and a fresh wave of unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers emerged to carry on the malevolent legacy. Operating rooms once again became the haunting grounds where the macabre dance of life and death played out. The surgeons, now devoid of humanity, continued their merciless harvest under the influence of a mysterious force that seemed impervious to defeat. Livers were once more extracted with chilling precision from unsuspecting victims, leaving behind a trail of broken bodies and shattered lives. The survivors, burdened by the ghosts of their past encounters, were drawn into the vortex of horror. Once again, the malevolent force, thought to have been vanquished, had taken a new form, an entity that seemed to defy the laws of mortality. As the survivors delved deeper into the heart of the resurrected terror, they uncovered a twisted revelation that sent shockwaves through their already fragile sanity. The malevolent force had evolved into a symbiotic entity that merged with the surgeons themselves. The once human doctors, now grotesque vessels of malevolence, had become entwined with the dark force. Their bodies and minds no longer bound, the surgeons moved with an otherworldly fluidity, their actions guided by an insatiable thirst for organs that transcended the boundaries of medical science. Operating rooms became surreal battlegrounds where the twisted symbiosis played out. The surgeons, now mere conduits for the malevolent force, operated with an eerie efficiency that defied explanation. The survivors, facing adversaries who seemed both mortal and supernatural, grappled with the complexity of their enemy. The line between surgeon and force blurred, creating a chilling fusion of the human and the unholy. As the survivors confronted the surgeons, they found themselves ensnared in a nightmarish dance where reality shifted and twisted in response to the malevolent force's whims. The hospital itself seemed to pulse with a malevolent heartbeat, orchestrating a symphony of horror that resonated through the operating rooms and echoed in the minds of those who dared to challenge that malevolent union. In a climactic twist, the survivors discovered a relic, an ancient artifact that seemed to be the source of the malevolent force's power. As they grappled with the artifact's dark energies, the surgeon's influence waned, and the hospital quivered as if in agony. The survivors, armed with newfound knowledge, faced a choice that would determine the fate of both the hospital and the malevolent force that had taken residence within. In a harrowing confrontation, the survivors used the artifact to sever the surgeon's connection to the malevolent force. The hospital, its foundations shaken by the cosmic struggle, crumbled in on itself, and the malevolent force dissipated like a malevolent fog. The survivors emerged from the ruins, their bodies and minds scarred by the ordeal, but with a sense of accomplishment that came from having faced the very embodiment of darkness. Yet the survivors were left with a haunting uncertainty. The artifact, though a key to victory, held secrets that defied understanding. As they stood amidst the rubble of hospital evil, they couldn't shake the feeling that the malevolent force might linger, waiting for the opportune moment to reassert its influence. The survivors, their battle against darkness far from over, now faced the ominous prospect that the malevolent force had not been eradicated, but merely dormant. The global black market for organs once again thwarted, left behind a legacy that echoed through the annals of horror, a tale of resilience, sacrifice, and the ever-present threat of malevolence waiting to resurface from the shadows. In the desolate aftermath of hospital evil's collapse, a malevolent force refused to fade into oblivion. The global black market for organs, having weathered every storm, rose again like a sinister phoenix. The surviving surgeons and traffickers, now shadows of their former selves, gathered to resurrect the dark legacy. Operating rooms, once scenes of unimaginable horror, pulsated with renewed malevolence. The surgeons, drawn back into the folds of darkness, embarked on a macabre dance guided by insatiable greed and an otherworldly force that seemed to defy the laws of life and death. Livers, hearts, and other vital organs were once again extracted with chilling precision from unsuspecting victims, laying the groundwork for a new reign of terror. The survivors, still haunted by the specters of their past encounters, found themselves thrust into a nightmarish sequel. They never wished to experience the malevolent force that had fueled the hospital's horrors had taken on a new form, a spectral entity that could manipulate reality itself. Operating rooms became distorted dimensions where the boundaries between nightmare and reality blurred. As the survivors navigated the twisted corridors of the resurrected hospital evil, they uncovered a sinister twist to the malevolent force's agenda. The surgeons, now mere puppets in the grand scheme, believed that by harvesting organs they could summon an ancient deity that promised them guarded. The malevolent force had become a conduit to a maleficent being from another realm, and the surgeons reveled in their dark servitude. The lives destroyed by the bad operations were not just physical casualties, they were offerings to an otherworldly force that hungered for suffering. Families were torn apart, and the victims became vessels for a dark ritual that transcended the mortal realm. The survivors, grappling with the unfathomable horror, understood that the battle they faced was not just against human malevolence, but against an ancient cosmic evil. In a harrowing twist, the survivors discovered that the hospital itself had become a nexus, a gateway between the earthly realm and the malevolent deity's domain. Operating rooms served as portals where the malevolent force could channel the harvested organs into the abyss, solidifying the connection between worlds. The survivors, armed with this chilling revelation, realized that to put an end to the horrors they had to sever the link between the malevolent force and the cosmic entity. As the survivors ventured deeper into the bowels of the hospital, they faced not only the surgeons and traffickers, but also the ethereal manifestations of the malevolent deity. Operating rooms became battlegrounds where the struggle for humanity's survival played out across dimensions. The survivors, their determination unyielding, fought not only for their lives, but for the very fabric of reality. In a climactic showdown, the survivors confronted the malevolent deity, a grotesque entity that defied description. The hospital trembled as the cosmic struggle unfolded within its walls. Operating rooms, once hallowed halls of healing, became the epicenter of a cataclysmic clash between mortal resolve and malevolent divinity. In a surge of supernatural energy, the survivors managed to disrupt the malevolent force's connection to The cosmic entity, the hospital, now a crumbling edifice, quaked as the malevolent deity was banished back to the shadows from whence it came, the surviving surgeons liberated from their dark servitude recoiled in horror at the atrocities they had committed. As the survivors emerged from the ruins of hospital evil, they were left with the unsettling realization that the battle against darkness was unending. The global black market for organs, though disrupted, remained a lurking threat ready to rear its head in new insidious forms. The survivors, scarred by the horrors they had faced, understood that vigilance was their only defense against the relentless tide of malevolence that sought to exploit the vulnerabilities of the human soul. The tale of hospital evil, now etched into the annals of horror, served as a chilling reminder that evil, whether manifested in the mortal realm or drawn from cosmic depths, required eternal guardianship. The survivors, forever marked by their odyssey, vowed to stand as sentinels against the encroaching darkness, knowing that the malevolent force that once dwelled within the hospital might still linger in the shadows, awaiting the opportune moment to strike again. In the malevolent aftermath of hospital evil's resurgence, the global black market for organs thrived with renewed ferocity. The surviving surgeons and traffickers, driven by an insatiable hunger for wealth and power, gathered in the darkest corners of the hospital to perpetuate their grisly trade. Operating rooms once again became the macabre stage where the twisted dance of butchery unfolded. The surgeons, now even more deeply entrenched in the malevolent force's influence, operated with an unnatural precision. Livers, hearts, and vital organs were extracted from unsuspecting victims who sought solace within the hospital's deceptive walls. The malevolent force, weaving its tendrils into the fabric of reality, masked the horrors within the guise of medical professionalism. The lives destroyed by the bad operations were not just casualties, they were unwitting sacrifices to a malevolent deity that reveled in the anguish of the human soul. Families, once hopeful for the recovery of their loved ones, now faced the unbearable reality that their kin had become victims of a nefarious ritual. The survivors, haunted by the echoes of their previous encounters, found themselves ensnared in a perpetual nightmare. As the survivors delved into the heart of the malevolence that gripped the hospital, a chilling twist emerged. The surgeons, once driven solely by greed, now harbored a dark secret. They were vessels for the malevolent force itself. The entity had found corporeal hosts in the form of the surgeons, merging with their consciousness to orchestrate the horrors. With an otherworldly efficiency, operating rooms became surreal landscapes where the laws of reality bent to the malevolent forces, while the surgeons, guided by an unholy intelligence, reveled in the grotesque dance of life and death. The survivors, desperate to unveil the source of the malevolence, encountered spectral manifestations and nightmarish apparitions that blurred the line between the living and the supernatural. In a twist that sent shivers down the survivors' spines, they discovered a forgotten chamber deep within the hospital, a place where the malevolent force had forged an unholy pact with an ancient deity. The surgeons, now conduits for the malevolence, conducted their grisly operations as offerings to the malevolent deity, seeking favor in exchange for the harvested organs. As the survivors faced the surgeons and the malevolent deity within the accursed chamber, a confrontation of cosmic proportions unfolded. The hospital itself seemed to pulse with a malevolent heartbeat, echoing the dark ritual conducted within its confines. Operating rooms became battlegrounds where the forces of light and darkness clashed in a struggle for the very essence of humanity. In a desperate bid to sever the surgeon's connection to the malevolent deity, the survivors confronted the ancient entity. The chamber resonated with the echoes of a cosmic battle, and the malevolent force fought tooth and nail to maintain its grip on the surgeons. Operating rooms became arenas where reality unraveled, and the survivors grappled with forces that transcended mortal comprehension. In a climactic twist, the survivors uncovered a relic, an artifact of ancient power that could disrupt the malevolent force's influence. As they activated the artifact, a surge of energy reverberated through the hospital, casting a blinding light that shattered the unholy pact. The malevolent deity recoiled, and the surgeons, now freed from their dark servitude, collapsed in horror at that atrocities they had committed, the survivors emerged from the chamber, their bodies and minds scarred by the cosmic struggle. The hospital, now devoid of the malevolent force's influence, stood silent and still. The survivors, weary but triumphant, gazed upon the ruins of the accursed place that had once been a breeding ground for unspeakable horrors. Yet as the survivors ventured out into the world beyond hospital evil, they carried the weight of the malevolence that had lingered within its walls. The global black market for organs, though disrupted, left a chilling reminder that evil could manifest in myriad forms. The survivors, forever marked by their odyssey, understood that the battle against darkness was a perpetual one, and they vowed to remain vigilant guardians against the resurgence of horrors that lurked within the human soul. In the dimly lit recesses of the ominous hospital, evil, a malevolent force cast a sinister pall over its corridors. The global black market for organs thrived in the shadows, orchestrated by unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers driven by insatiable greed and a twisted thirst for power. Operating rooms within hospital evil became clandestine theaters of horror, where the macabre dance of life and death played out. Surgeons, once bound by the Hippocratic Oath, now succumbed to the allure of vast fortunes that awaited them in the darkest corners of the illicit organ trade. Hearts, kidneys and livers became commodities harvested from unsuspecting victims who sought healing within the hospital's deceptive walls. The unscrupulous doctors, their faces obscured by masks of deceit, operated with ruthless efficiency. Everyday visitors drawn into the malevolent web became unwitting donors in a nightmarish scheme that left families shattered and lives destroyed. The surgeons, guided by a malevolent force that whispered promises of untold riches, reveled in their gruesome work, blinded to the human suffering they inflicted as the illicit trade flourished. The lives of those who fell prey to hospital evil were marked by a grotesque fate. Bad operations became synonymous with irreversible horror as organs were harvested without remorse or regard for the sanctity of life. Families, initially hopeful for their loved ones' recovery, faced the harrowing reality that their kin had become victims in a nightmarish scheme that transcended the boundaries of morality. The malevolent force within the hospital seemed to feed on the anguish and suffering it wrought. Operating rooms became realms of unspeakable terror, where the surgeons, fueled by a dark energy, reveled in the grotesque ballet of organ extraction. The malevolent force and intangible presence that permeated every corner of the hospital seemed to delight in the destruction of human lives. The survivors of hospital evil, those who had glimpsed the depths of darkness within its walls, banded together to expose the nefarious trade. Their investigations led them into the heart of the malevolence, where they uncovered a chilling revelation beyond the greed of the surgeons and traffickers. A supernatural force manipulated the strings of this grotesque puppetry. The malevolent force, an ancient entity with insatiable appetites, fed off the suffering it orchestrated. It thrived on the chaos sown within hospital evil, using the unscrupulous surgeons as mere pawns in its grand design. The survivors, now faced with a foe that transcended the mortal realm, understood that the battle against evil had taken an otherworldly turn in a series of harrowing encounters within the operating rooms. The survivors confronted the surgeons and the malevolent force itself. The hospital seemed to come alive with malevolent energy, distorting reality and challenging the very fabric of existence. The survivors, armed with their determination and a newfound understanding of the supernatural threat, waged a desperate war against the malevolence that had infested hospital evil. As the final confrontation unfolded, the survivors uncovered a relic, an ancient artifact that held the key to severing the malevolent force's influence. In a climactic struggle, they activated the artifact within the heart of the hospital, casting a blinding light that banished the malevolent force back into the abyss from whence it came. The hospital, once a breeding ground for unspeakable horrors, stood silent as the malevolent influence dissipated. The survivors, scarred by their ordeal, emerged from the shadows with a newfound understanding of the fragility of the human soul and the eternal battle against malevolence. The tale of hospital evil became a chilling legend, a reminder that evil could manifest in both human hearts and supernatural entities. The global black market for organs disrupted by the survivors' tenacity left an indelible mark on their collective consciousness. The survivors, forever changed by their odyssey, carried the weight of their experiences as they faced a world still haunted by the echoes of hospital evil, a testament to the enduring struggle between light and darkness. Intermission.
Just surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Just surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Just surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Just surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Just surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within in the halls of hospital evil.
Cheers, everyone.
Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives in the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost plays with it in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows. A secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. The midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays with it in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows. A secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays with it in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows. A secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays with it in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows. A secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays with it in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows. A secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays with it in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within in the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin, a haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold.
In the heart of the city, shrouded in a fog of malevolence, stood the ominous hospital evil, a place where the thin line between life and death blurred into a nightmarish abyss beneath its sterile facade. A global black market for organs thrived, orchestrated by unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers who had succumbed to the seduction of vast fortunes. Operating rooms within hospital evil became chambers of horror where the vile criminal trade unfolded. Surgeons, once healers sworn to an oath of benevolence, now reveled in the twisted dance of organ extraction, guided by greed and enticed by promises of unimaginable wealth. They turned their medical expertise into a macabre symphony of suffering. The unscrupulous doctors' faces, concealed by masks of deceit, preyed on everyday visitors seeking solace within the hospital's walls. Innocent lives were ensnared in a web of malevolence, their organs harvested without mercy. Hearts, livers, and kidneys became commodities in a grotesque marketplace, leaving behind a trail of broken bodies and shattered families. The motivations of the surgeons and traffickers delved into the darkest recesses of human greed. It wasn't merely financial gain that drove them. A malevolent force had taken root within the hospital, whispering promises of power and immortality to those willing to dance with the devil. The surgeons, intoxicated by the allure of the supernatural, willingly became agents of darkness. As the illicit trade flourished, lives were irrevocably destroyed by the heinous operations conducted within the walls of hospital evil. Families, unsuspecting victims of the malevolent force, faced the agonizing reality of lost loved ones transformed into mere commodities in a trade that transcended the boundaries of morality. The horror unfolded within the operating rooms where surgeons operated with an otherworldly precision. Livers were extracted from unsuspecting visitors seeking medical care, their lives forever altered by the malevolent force that guided the hands of the unscrupulous doctors. The operating rooms became theaters of unspeakable cruelty, each procedure a grotesque performance in a play of malevolence. Amid the suffering, a group of courageous individuals emerged, survivors who had glimpsed the depths of darkness within hospital evil, driven by a collective determination to expose the nefarious trade. They delved into the heart of the malevolence, yet as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors, they realized that the evil within the hospital was not merely a product of human malevolence. It was an ancient force that hungered for anguish. In chilling encounters within the operating rooms, the survivors faced the surgeons and the malevolent force itself. Reality warped and twisted as the hospital seemed to come alive with an unholy energy. The survivors, armed with tenacity and a profound understanding of the supernatural threat, fought a desperate battle against the malevolence that sought to consume them. In a climactic showdown, the survivors uncovered a relic, an ancient artifact that held the key to severing the malevolent force's influence. As they activated the artifact within the heart of the hospital, an ethereal light cascaded through the operating rooms, banishing the malevolent force back to the shadows from whence it came. The hospital, stripped of its malevolent influence, stood silent in the aftermath. The survivors, scarred by their ordeal, emerged from the shadows with a newfound understanding of the fragility of the human soul and the eternal battle against malevolence. The tale of hospital evil became a chilling legend, a testament to the enduring struggle between light and darkness. The global black market for organs, disrupted by the survivors' tenacity, left an indelible mark on their collective consciousness as they faced a world still haunted by the echoes of hospital evil. The survivors remained vigilant guardians against the relentless tide of malevolence, a reminder that evil, whether manifested in human hearts or ancient forces, required eternal resistance. In the aftermath of the climactic battle, the survivors emerged from the once haunted corridors of hospital evil, their victory tinged with the somber recognition that the malevolent force they had confronted might have merely retreated, biding its time in the shadows. The global black market for organs, disrupted but not eradicated, left behind scars that echoed through the survivors' collective consciousness. The survivors, now bound by a shared understanding of the eternal struggle against malevolence, couldn't shake the feeling that the malevolent force was a pervasive presence lurking in the hidden corners of the world, they became vigilant guardians not just against the resurgence of horrors within hospital evil, but against the ever-present threat that manifested in various forms as they ventured into the world beyond the hospital. The survivors uncovered a network of corruption that extended far beyond the malevolent force they had faced. Influential figures both within and beyond the medical community were entwined with the global black market for organs. The survivors realized that the battle against malevolence required them to expose the intricate web of complicity that allowed such darkness to thrive. Operating rooms, once scenes of unspeakable horror, became symbolic battlegrounds where the survivors waged a different kind of war, a war against corruption and those who perpetuated the illicit organ trade. The survivors, armed with the knowledge gained from their harrowing experiences, delved into the underworld of the malevolent market in a twist that revealed the depth of the conspiracy. The survivors discovered that the malevolent force had left its mark not just on hospital evil, but had tendrils reaching into other institutions worldwide. The very fabric of society seemed tainted by a malevolence that sought to exploit the vulnerabilities of human nature. The survivors, their resolve unyielding, faced adversaries beyond the supernatural, shadowy figures with vested interests in the continuation of the organ trade emerged as formidable foes. The survivors navigated a world where truth was obscured, evidence disappeared and witnesses were silenced, a world where the malevolent force seemed to exert its influence even beyond the confines of hospital evil. In the renewed battle against corruption, the survivors became reluctant heroes, their quest for justice an arduous journey through a maze of deceit and manipulation. Operating rooms became metaphors for the struggle where the surgery performed was not on physical bodies, but on the diseased system that allowed malevolence to flourish. As they uncovered the intricate connections between the global black market for organs and powerful individuals, the survivors faced moral dilemmas and betrayals. The malevolent force, though temporarily banished from hospital evil, left an indelible mark on their lives, transforming them into reluctant champions against a darkness that seemed to seep into every facet of society. In a climactic revelation, the survivors uncovered a hidden truth: the malevolent force was not just a malevolent entity, but a manifestation of collective human darkness. The very nature of the organ trade reflected humanity's capacity for greed, exploitation, and cruelty. The survivors, armed with this profound insight, confronted not just external adversaries, but the shadows within themselves. As they stood on the precipice of exposing the global conspiracy, the survivors faced a choice: succumb to the overwhelming darkness or confront the malevolent force head-on. Operating rooms, once symbols of horror, became places of reckoning where the survivors grappled with their own vulnerabilities and the harsh realities of the world. They sought to change the tale of hospital evil, transformed from a localized horror story into a global epic, a saga of resilience, sacrifice, and the eternal battle against the malevolent forces that lurked within the human heart. The survivors, forever marked by their odyssey, understood that the fight against darkness was not confined to the walls of a single hospital, but stretched across a complex tapestry of societal decay. As the survivors prepared for the final confrontation, they knew that the malevolent force, whether supernatural or rooted in human nature, could not be vanquished with a single victory. The battle against the global black market for organs continued, a battle that demanded not only the exposure of corruption, but a collective awakening to the inherent potential for malevolence that lingered within each individual. In the wake of their realization that the malevolent force was a manifestation of collective human darkness, the survivors grappled with the profound complexity of their mission. The battle against the global black market for organs evolved into a struggle not just against external adversaries, but against the deeply ingrained flaws within humanity itself. Operating rooms, once scenes of physical horror, became symbolic arenas where the survivors confronted the metaphorical surgeries needed to heal society. The malevolent force, whether supernatural or a reflection of human nature, had left scars that ran deep, and the survivors understood that the fight for justice extended beyond exposing corruption. It required a fundamental transformation in the hearts and minds of individuals. As they delved deeper into the global conspiracy, the survivors uncovered a clandestine network of individuals who profited from the suffering of others. The malevolent force seemed to have found fertile ground in the hearts of those who prioritized personal gain over compassion, exploiting the vulnerable for financial gain. The survivors, armed with evidence and a burning sense of justice, faced the formidable challenge of dismantling the entire structure that enabled the illicit organ trade to thrive. In a twist that tested their resolve, the survivors encountered resistance, not just from shadowy figures within the organ trade, but from influential entities determined to protect their vested interests. The battle moved beyond operating rooms and into boardrooms, courtrooms and corridors of power. The survivors, once reluctant heroes, became warriors against a system that perpetuated darkness. The malevolent force, though temporarily banished from hospital evil, seemed to manifest in the insidious ways society justified and normalized its crimes. The survivors grappled with the realization that the battle was not only against external adversaries, but against the complicity and apathy that allowed the organ trade to persist. They faced the challenge of awakening society to the collective responsibility for eradicating the malevolence that lurked within. As the survivors navigated the complexities of their mission, they encountered unexpected allies, individuals who, like them, had glimpsed the horrors perpetrated by the global black market for organs. Together they formed a coalition against the malevolent force, drawing strength from their shared determination to expose the truth and bring about change. Operating rooms became symbols of transformation, not just for physical healing, but for the moral surgery required to excise the malevolent force from the roots of society. The survivors, now leaders of a burgeoning movement, used their harrowing experiences to ignite a spark of awareness that spread like wildfire. They spoke out against the darkness, rallying support from those willing to confront the uncomfortable truths that lurked beneath the surface. In a climactic confrontation, the survivors and their allies faced the powerful figures who perpetuated the organ trade. The battle moved beyond physical combat to a war of ideologies, where the survivors fought not just for justice, but for a collective awakening, a shift in consciousness that would render the malevolent force powerless. As the truth unfolded in courtrooms and public forums, the survivors stood firm, knowing that the battle against darkness was an ongoing struggle. The global black market for organs, though disrupted, left scars that lingered. The survivors, however, had become beacons of hope, inspiring a movement that aimed to eradicate the malevolent force not only from hospital evil, but from the collective psyche of humanity. The tale of the survivors transformed into a narrative of resilience, redemption, and the enduring capacity for change. Operating rooms, once symbols of horror, became symbols of healing and rebirth, a testament to the indomitable spirit that could rise from the ashes of darkness. In the aftermath, the survivors understood that the battle against the malevolent force was not confined to a single hospital or a clandestine market. It was a battle waged within the hearts of individuals, a battle that demanded eternal vigilance, compassion, and a commitment to creating a world where the malevolent force would find no refuge. The survivors, forever changed by their odyssey, carried the torch of hope into a future where the shadows of hospital evil served as a stark reminder of that potential for malevolence. Operating rooms, once scenes of unspeakable horror, became symbols of transformation, a canvas upon which the survivors painted a narrative of triumph over darkness, one that would resonate through the corridors of time as a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. In the eerie aftermath of the survivors' battle against the global black market for organs, the malevolent force that once gripped hospital evil seemed to linger, refusing to fade into oblivion. That hospital, now a haunting relic, stood as a grim reminder of the horrors that transpired within its walls. Operating rooms, once scenes of unspeakable horror, remained shrouded in an unnatural darkness, the survivors, scarred by their experiences, found themselves inexorably drawn back to hospital evil. The malevolent force, though disrupted, retained a spectral presence that beckoned the survivors with an otherworldly allure. Despite their apprehensions, and unspoken understanding compelled them to confront the residual darkness that clung to the accursed hospital. As the survivors ventured once more into the forsaken corridors, they discovered that hospital evil had become a breeding ground for malevolent entities that thrived on the residual energy of suffering. Operating rooms, now distorted dimensions where reality wavered, became gateways to realms beyond human comprehension. The malevolent force, seemingly rejuvenated, manifested in ethereal apparitions that whispered chilling secrets to those who dared to listen. The survivors, caught in a nightmarish loop, faced visions of their worst fears within the operating rooms. The hospital itself seemed to be a sentient entity feeding off the trauma etched into its walls. In a twist that defied logic, the survivors encountered spectral remnants of the unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers who once plagued hospital evil. The malevolent force had given rise to grotesque echoes of the past, entities driven by a perverse desire to continue the gruesome trade that had defined the hospital's dark legacy. Operating rooms became battlegrounds where the living and the spectral entities clashed in a surreal dance of horror. The survivors, armed with the knowledge gained from their previous ordeal, sought to unravel the malevolent force's newfound strength and put an end to the nightmarish cycle that perpetuated within the accursed hospital. As the survivors delved into the depths of the hospital's malevolence, they uncovered a forgotten chamber, a nexus where the malevolent force drew strength from the residual suffering of the past. Operating rooms within this chamber became conduits through which the malevolent force could manipulate reality and perpetuate its dark agenda. The survivors, their determination unyielding, faced the challenge of disrupting the malevolent force's connection to the spectral entities and severing its influence on the hospital. Operating rooms within the forgotten chamber became the focal point of a cataclysmic struggle between the living and the supernatural, as the survivors confronted not only the echoes of the past, but the malevolent force itself. In a climactic confrontation, the survivors unleashed an ancient artifact they had discovered, a relic that held the power to disrupt the malevolent force's grip on hospital evil. Operating rooms trembled as the artifact's energy surged, casting a blinding light that purged the spectral entities and shattered the malevolent force's influence. The hospital, once a bastion of darkness, crumbled into ruins. As the malevolent force dissipated, the survivors emerged weary but victorious from the forsaken corridors that had witnessed the battle between the living and the supernatural. As they left hospital evil behind, the survivors understood that the malevolent force, though banished for now, might find new conduits in the ever-shifting tapestry of existence. Operating rooms, once symbols of horror, became symbols of resilience as the survivors carried the weight of their odyssey into an uncertain future. The tale of hospital evil, now etched into the annals of supernatural horror, served as a stark reminder that malevolence could linger in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to resurface. The survivors, forever marked by their encounters, remained vigilant guardians against the encroaching darkness, knowing that the battle against the malevolent force transcended the confines of a single hospital and stretched into the enigmatic realms where the line between reality and nightmare blurred. The survivors, having seemingly thwarted the malevolent force's resurgence, found themselves unwittingly drawn back into the heart of hospital evil. The operating rooms, once silent witnesses to unspeakable horrors, now pulsated with an unnatural energy that sent shivers down the survivors' spines. As they explored the eerie corridors, a distant hum emanated from the operating rooms, beckoning them with an otherworldly allure. The survivors, compelled by an invisible force, cautiously entered a dimly lit surgery suite, where the air hung heavy with a palpable malevolence. In the center of the room, a figure lay motionless on the operating table, a victim paralyzed by some sinister force that defied the laws of nature. The survivors, their hearts pounding with trepidation, approached the immobilized individual, the surgical lights cast an eerie glow, revealing the intricate web of scars that adorned the victim's body, a testament to the malevolent forces macabre. Experiments operating rooms, once symbols of healing, had transformed into chambers of malevolence where the line between life and death blurred, the survivors determined to unravel the mystery. Examined the paralyzed victim and discovered strange symbols etched into their flesh, a dark and twisted language that spoke of ancient rituals and unspeakable pacts. In a chilling revelation, the survivors realized that the malevolent force, though seemingly vanquished, had left behind a residue that continued to weave its insidious influence. The operating rooms became conduits through which the force manipulated the fabric of reality, subjecting the unfortunate victim to a nightmarish paralysis that transcended the realm of medical science. As the survivors delved into the enigma, whispers of a forgotten experiment echoed within the surgical suite. The malevolent force, with a cruel penchant for exploiting vulnerability, had chosen its victim with calculated precision. The paralyzed individual, a pawn in a cosmic chess game, lay suspended between the living and the spectral realms in a desperate bid to unravel the dark threads entwined around the paralyzed victim. The survivors sought ancient texts hidden within the depths of the hospital. Operating rooms became their battlegrounds, each step revealing cryptic symbols and unsettling whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls. As they pieced together the fragments of forbidden knowledge, the survivors uncovered a ritual, an unholy ceremony that bound the paralyzed victim's soul to the malevolent force. The operating room's witnesses to a cosmic struggle resonated with an ominous energy as the survivors realized that they needed to break the ethereal shackles that bound the victim to the malevolent force. Armed with newfound insights and an ancient artifact discovered within the hospital, the survivors returned to the surgery suite. The artifact, pulsating with an otherworldly glow, held the power to disrupt the ritual and sever the victim's connection to the malevolent force. In a climactic moment, the survivors activated the artifact, casting a radiant light that pierced through the surgical suite. The symbols etched into the victim's flesh writhed and contorted, and the oppressive paralysis lifted. The victim, freed from the malevolent force's grip, gasped for breath as life flowed back into their limbs. The operating rooms, once shrouded in darkness, were now bathed in an ethereal glow as the survivors stood triumphant over the defeated malevolent force. The paralyzed victim, grateful for their deliverance, shared fragmented memories of the horrors endured during the ritual. The survivors, with a renewed sense of purpose, vowed to protect others from the malevolent force's lingering influence. Operating rooms, once stages for unspeakable acts, became symbols of redemption as the survivors continued their quest to cleanse hospital evil of its malevolent legacy. Yet as they ventured into the shadows of the hospital's depths, the survivors couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that the malevolent force, though weakened, still lurked in the darkest corners. Operating rooms remained as thresholds between the living and the supernatural, where the survivors treaded carefully, knowing that the battle against darkness was an eternal struggle, one that unfolded not just in the physical realm, but within the very soul of hospital evil. The survivors, having seemingly triumphed over the malevolent force's attempt to bind a victim in the surgery rooms, felt a chilling unease settle over hospital evil once more. The ominous hum in the operating rooms intensified, and an unsettling energy permeated the air, signaling that the malevolent force had not been fully eradicated. In a twist more ominous than before, the survivors discovered another victim in a state of paralyzing affliction within the surgery suite. This time, however, the malevolent force had escalated its malevolence. The victim's body bore not only the scars of a supernatural ritual, but also exhibited grotesque physical mutations, a testament to the force's insidious experimentation. Operating rooms, now tainted by an even darker malevolence, became the stage for a macabre spectacle. The survivors, haunted by the recurrence of the nightmarish scenario, understood that the malevolent force was not only resilient, but had evolved into an entity capable of inflicting even greater horrors. As the survivors approached the paralyzed victim, the surgery suite seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy, the symbols etched into the victim's flesh seemed to writhe with a sinister life of their own. The malevolent force, emboldened by the survivors' previous attempts to thwart it, reveled in their desperation, turning the surgical tableau into a grotesque theater of its malevolent design. Operating rooms, once sacred spaces for healing, now echoed with spectral whispers and the tormented cries of the victim. The survivors, undeterred by the heightened malevolence, delved into the heart of the supernatural enigma, seeking to uncover the force's newfound strength and put an end to the escalating horrors. As they scoured the hospital for answers, the survivors stumbled upon ancient manuscripts hidden within the labyrinthine corridors. These texts revealed that the malevolent force, having tasted the defiance of the survivors, had tapped into darker dimensions, merging its essence with eldritch energies that defied mortal comprehension. Armed with this revelation, the survivors returned to the surgery suite, where the paralyzed victim lay ensnared in a nightmarish fusion of ritual and mutation. Operating rooms, once arenas of medical expertise, now bore witness to an otherworldly struggle that transcended the boundaries of the known. In a bid to break the malevolent force's grip, the survivors harnessed the ancient artifact's power once more. However, the force, now a formidable entity entwined with cosmic energies, retaliated with unprecedented ferocity. The surgery suite trembled as ethereal tendrils lashed out, defying the laws of physics and testing the survivors' resilience. As the artifact's light clashed with the malevolent force's eldritch energies, reality itself seemed to unravel within the operating rooms. The survivors grappled with spectral apparitions and grotesque manifestations that mirrored the force's newfound malevolence. The paralyzed victim, caught in the crossfire, writhed in agony as the supernatural clash unfolded in a harrowing climax. The survivors succeeded in disrupting the ritual and dispelling the malevolent force's immediate influence. The surgery suite, once steeped in darkness, fell into an eerie stillness. The paralyzed victim, freed from the force's grasp, gasped for breath, their body gradually returning to its natural state. However, the survivors, weary and haunted by the escalating horrors, understood that the malevolent force had not been fully vanquished. Operating rooms, now silent witnesses to the supernatural struggle, seemed to harbor a lingering malevolence that defied easy explanation. The survivors, scarred by their encounters, realized that their battle against the evolving force was far from over. As they left the surgery suite, the survivors felt a palpable tension in the air. The malevolent force, now a spectral entity intertwined with cosmic energies, lingered in the shadows, awaiting its next opportunity to unleash a darkness that surpassed all previous horrors. Operating rooms, symbols of both healing and malevolence, remained as portals to the unknown, a chilling reminder that the struggle against the supernatural force had entered an even more perilous phase. One where the line between reality and nightmare became increasingly blurred. The lingering malevolence within hospital evil intensified, casting a foreboding pall over the survivors, who continued their harrowing journey. As they navigated the dimly lit corridors, the echoes of the malevolent force seemed to reverberate through the very walls of the hospital. Operating rooms, now fraught with an otherworldly tension, became arenas where the boundaries between the corporeal and the spectral grew increasingly thin. In an unexpected turn of events, the survivors stumbled upon a gruesome scene within one of the surgery suites. A victim lay motionless on the operating table, the head gruesomely severed from their body, a horrifying consequence of the malevolent force's influence. The room was bathed in an eerie crimson light, and the air seemed thick with an oppressive malevolence. The survivors, confronted with the macabre sight, felt a surge of dread coursing through their veins. The malevolent force, now wielding powers beyond comprehension, had unleashed a brutality that defied the laws of nature. Operating rooms, once sanctuaries for healing, had become nightmarish stages for the force's sadistic experiments. Driven by a sense of urgency, the survivors gathered what remained of their resolve and embarked on a desperate quest to rectify the grotesque situation. The victim's severed head, though lifeless, bore an expression frozen in eternal anguish, a stark testament to the malevolent force's relentless cruelty. Operating rooms transformed into surreal landscapes where the survivors grappled with the impossible. They scoured the hospital for any remnants of ancient lore or artifacts that could hold the key to reversing the heinous act. That malevolent force seemed to revel in the survivors' desperation, manipulating the hospital's reality to heighten their torment. As the survivors unearthed fragments of forgotten rituals and mystical symbols, they discovered an ancient text that spoke of a ritual capable of reuniting severed entities. Operating rooms became clandestine sanctuaries where the survivors, guided by the esoteric knowledge they had gathered, endeavored to defy the laws of life and death. With a concoction of rare elixirs and incantations, the survivors cautiously approached the severed head. The air hummed with an unnatural energy as they enacted the ritual. Their actions, dictated by the ancient text's cryptic instructions, the victim's body lay in silent repose, a vessel for the potential resurrection that teetered on the precipice of the supernatural. In a surreal and gut-wrenching moment, the severed head and the lifeless body stirred with an eerie vitality. Operating rooms became witnesses to a surreal fusion of mysticism and horror as the victim's head miraculously reattached itself to the body. The air hung heavy with uncertainty as the survivors awaited the outcome of their desperate intervention. As the ritual reached its zenith, the victim gasped for breath, their eyes flickering open. The survivors, their hearts heavy with a strange mixture of relief and dread, realized that they had succeeded in reuniting the severed components. However, the revived victim bore an expression tainted by the unspeakable horrors they had endured. The malevolent force's mark etched into the very fabric of their being. The survivors, grappling with the consequences of their desperate actions, now faced a reality where the malevolent force's influence seemed to have permeated the very essence of life itself. Operating rooms, once realms of science and healing, became portals through which the survivors glimpsed the unfathomable abyss of the supernatural. Haunted by the enigmatic forces at play, the survivors understood that the malevolent force had escalated its malevolence to unprecedented levels. Hospital evil, now a crucible of dark experiments, stood as a nightmarish battleground where the struggle between the living and the supernatural reached new heights. Operating rooms, forever transformed by the grotesque tableau they had witnessed, awaited the survivors as thresholds to even deeper horrors, prompting the unsettling realization that the malevolent force had only just begun to reveal its true and increasingly monstrous nature. In the desolate halls of hospital evil, where shadows clung to every corner, a new chapter of horror unfolded. Within the surgery rooms, the survivors, burdened by the scars of previous encounters, ventured once more into the heart of darkness, unknowingly stepping into a malevolent force that had evolved into something even more insidious. As the survivors explored the eerily silent corridors, they discovered a victim lying on an operating table in one of the surgery suites. The room exuded an oppressive atmosphere, and the air seemed charged with an unsettling energy. The victim, a seemingly ordinary patient, lay paralyzed, their limbs frozen in a state of unnatural stillness. Operating rooms, now synonymous with unspeakable horrors, became arenas where the malevolent force unleashed a new form of torment. The survivors, their senses heightened by the palpable malevolence, approached the paralyzed victim, intent on unraveling the enigma that shrouded this latest nightmare. To their horror, the survivors realized that the victim's paralysis was not the only affliction plaguing them. A series of mysterious symbols etched into the victim's flesh pulsed with an otherworldly glow. The malevolent force, ever cunning, had introduced a new layer of complexity, intertwining supernatural afflictions that defied medical comprehension. As the survivors delved into the twisted mystery, they uncovered fragments of ancient texts that hinted at a malevolent symbiosis between the victim and the hospital itself. Operating rooms became cryptic puzzle boxes where each revelation deepened the survivor's sense of foreboding. The paralyzed victim, trapped in a nightmarish limbo, began to exhibit signs of possession. Whispers echoed within the surgery suite, Voices from unseen realms, and the victim's eyes flickered with an ominous glow. The malevolent force, it seemed, sought not only to physically torment its victims, but to claim their very souls. Operating rooms now infused with a spectral malevolence became battlegrounds where the survivors grappled not only with the victim's paralysis, but with the encroaching possession that threatened to. That the victim's paralysis served as a conduit for the malevolent force to manifest otherworldly entities. These spectral apparitions, grotesque manifestations of suffering, roamed the surgery suite, adding a new layer of horror to the already dire situation. The survivors, their determination unyielding, delved into the hospital's dark history in search of a solution. Operating rooms now laden with a malevolent energy that seemed to resist their every move, tested the survivors' resolve as they navigated through forgotten rituals and forbidden knowledge in a climactic confrontation. Within the surgery suite, the survivors enacted a desperate ritual to sever the malevolent connection. The air crackled with a supernatural tension as the symbols etched into the victim's flesh resisted their efforts. Spectral entities converged, lashing out in a chaotic dance of malevolence as the survivors fought against the encroaching darkness. The ritual reached its zenith, a blinding light erupted within the surgery suite, dispelling the spectral entities and breaking the unholy connection that bound the victim to the malevolent force. The paralyzed victim released from the nightmarish grip gasped for breath as the malevolent energy dissipated. Operating rooms, witnesses to the harrowing struggle fell into an eerie silence, the malevolent force momentarily subdued. However, the survivors, their nerves frayed by the ordeal, understood that the malevolent force within Hospital Evil was an ever-adapting entity. Operating rooms now fought with the echoes of their latest encounter stood as reminders that the struggle against the supernatural malevolence had only grown more complex as the survivors ventured deeper into the hospital's enigmatic depths. They knew that the malevolent force, though temporarily subdued, awaited their every step. Operating rooms, symbols of both healing and horror, now held secrets that extended beyond the grasp of medical science, a testament to the ever-evolving malevolence that lurked within the haunted halls of Hospital Evil. In the lingering shadows of Hospital Evil, where the malevolent force's influence reached into every crevice, the survivors faced a gruesome turn of events. Within the surgery rooms, the once familiar operating tables now became stages for tragedy as the survivors unwittingly unraveled the delicate balance between life and death. As they navigated the dimly lit corridors, a sense of impending doom clung to the air. In one of the surgery suites, the survivors discovered a new victim, their fate entwined with the malevolent force's insidious design. The room seemed to hum with an ominous resonance, and the atmosphere weighed heavily on the survivors as they approached the patient on the operating table. Operating rooms, once symbols of healing, now bore witness to a malevolent twist of fate. The victim, already paralyzed by the malevolent force, lay vulnerable to the whims of supernatural forces that defied comprehension. The survivors, driven by a desperate urgency to break the curse that gripped Hospital Evil, prepared for a ritual to sever the unholy connection. In a cruel turn, a simple misstep during the ritual had catastrophic consequences. The surgical blade, guided by the survivors' trembling hands and the malevolent force's unseen influence, veered off course with a chilling precision. The once hopeful ritual turned into a ghastly mistake as the blade struck an unintended mark, leaving the victim on the operating table. A horrified silence enveloped the surgery suite as the survivors realized the irreversible error they had committed. The malevolent force, seizing upon the opportunity, seemed to revel in the chaos it had unleashed. Operating rooms, now tainted by the scent of tragedy, became arenas of guilt and despair for the survivors as the survivors grappled with the consequences of their actions. The malevolent force intensified its grip on the hospital. Operating rooms transformed into macabre stages where the boundary between life and death blurred, and the survivors found themselves trapped in a nightmarish cycle of mistakes and malevolence. Haunted by the unanticipated horror they had unleashed, the survivors faced a moral dilemma that transcended the supernatural. The victim, now lost to the malevolent force's influence, became a lingering spectre within hospital evil, a reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of the malevolent force that pervaded the hospital's every corner. In their quest to free hospital evil from the malevolent force's grasp, the survivors now carried the weight of an unintended tragedy. Operating rooms, once sanctuaries for healing, now stood as grim monuments to the consequences of their missteps, and the survivors knew that the malevolent force, having tasted their vulnerability, would exploit it further as they delved deeper into the hospital's mysteries. In the heart of the city, concealed behind the facade of medical legitimacy, lurked the ominous hospital evil, an institution where the boundaries between life and death blurred into a malevolent dance. Unbeknownst to the unsuspecting public, this seemingly ordinary hospital harbored a dark secret, a thriving global black market for organs within the clandestine depths of hospital evil. A network of unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers operated with impunity, driven by insatiable greed. Their butchery for profit extended beyond moral boundaries as they preyed on the vulnerability of unsuspecting patients, exploiting them for their organs. The question that lingered in the shadows was, why did they do it? Dr. Victor Cromwell, the malevolent mastermind behind this organ trafficking ring, harbored a twisted ideology fueled by a god complex and an insatiable desire for wealth. He believed he could play puppeteer with the strings of life and death, the allure of immense profits and the illusion of invincibility blinded him to the lives destroyed by his sinister enterprise. Operating rooms within hospital evil became chambers of horror where the macabre trade unfolded. Everyday visitors seeking medical care unwittingly became targets. Dr. Cromwell and his team of surgeons and doctor assistants operated with chilling precision, extracting organs like livers from their victims, leaving behind a trail of shattered lives and broken bodies. One victim, Rachel Turner, came to hospital evil for a routine procedure. Little did she know that her life would be forever altered by the malevolent force that gripped the hospital. Operating rooms, once symbols of hope, became theaters of nightmare as Rachel fell prey to the butchers cloaked in medical garb. The aftermath of the bad operations was a mosaic of suffering families torn apart, lives irreparably damaged, and a trail of bodies left in the wake of Dr. Cromwell's insidious pursuits. Those who survived the ordeal were left scarred both physically and psychologically, haunted by the horrors they endured within the walls of hospital evil as whispers of the hospital's malevolence spread. A group of courageous doctors and doctor assistants, horrified by the atrocities they witnessed, decided to take a stand. Their mission to expose the sinister truth and dismantle the organ trafficking ring. However, their pursuit of justice encountered a formidable obstacle: the higher-ups with vested interests who wielded power to silence investigations. Operating rooms became battlegrounds for this group of would-be heroes. The malevolent force within hospital evil seemed to anticipate their every move, thwarting their attempts to bring the criminals to justice. The survivors faced relentless obstacles as their quest for truth collided with a web of corruption that extended beyond the hospital's walls. Despite their best efforts, the doctors and doctor assistants found themselves ensnared in a labyrinth of deceit. The higher people, manipulating the strings of power, orchestrated a cover-up that shielded hospital evil from the scrutiny of justice. The organ trafficking continued unabated as the malevolent force within the hospital tightened its grip on those who sought to defy it. Operating rooms, once symbols of healing, transformed into prisons where the cries of the oppressed reverberated unheard. The survivors, now disillusioned but undeterred, realized that their fight against hospital evil had become a battle not just against mortal adversaries, but against a supernatural malevolence that defied reason. As the global black market for organs thrived, the hospital's ominous legacy cast a perpetual shadow over those who dared to challenge it. The tale of hospital evil unfolded as a chilling narrative of human greed, corruption, and a malevolent force that transcended the realms of the living. The question remained, could The survivors break free from the sinister dance orchestrated by the dark forces within Hospital Evil, or would they become mere pawns in a game where the stakes were nothing less than the essence of life itself? In the dark underbelly of Hospital Evil, hidden from the prying eyes of the world, a nefarious trade thrived, a global black market for organs behind the sterile facade of medical professionalism. A malevolent force orchestrated a macabre dance where lives were sacrificed for profit. Dr. Ilara Monroe, a brilliant but morally bankrupt surgeon, was at the heart of this sinister enterprise. Her allegiance to greed and the pursuit of power led her to assemble a network of unscrupulous surgeons and traffickers who operated within the shadows of Hospital Evil. These malevolent puppeteers preyed upon the vulnerability of everyday visitors, turning the hospital into a hunting ground for organs. Operating rooms, once sanctuaries of healing, now bore witness to unspeakable horrors. The malevolent force within Hospital Evil guided the hands of the surgeons, orchestrating the extraction of vital organs like livers with chilling precision. Everyday visitors seeking medical care found themselves unwitting participants in a nightmarish theater where their lives were auctioned to the highest bidder. One such victim, Emily Thompson, a young artist seeking treatment for a minor ailment, fell into the clutches of the malevolent force. Operating rooms became stages for a tragedy as Dr. Monroe and her team callously harvested Emily's organs, leaving behind a shell of a life that once held promise. The aftermath of these sinister operations painted a tableau of shattered lives and broken families. Loved ones were left grappling with the inexplicable loss, unaware that Hospital Evil was the architect of their anguish. Operating rooms, now tainted by the malevolent force, echoed with the silent screams of those whose existence had been callously snuffed out. For Prophet Dr. Adrian Turner, a conscientious doctor within Hospital Evil, began to suspect that malevolent force at play. The mounting casualties and unexplained deaths raised his suspicions, and he sought to expose the sinister truth behind the hospital's facade. Operating rooms became crime scenes in his quest for justice as he discovered the gruesome aftermath of the organ harvesting operations. Joined by a group of like-minded doctor assistants, the survivors embarked on a perilous journey to bring down Hospital Evil. However, their pursuit of truth encountered an insurmountable obstacle: the higher people who wielded power and influence to silence any investigation. The malevolent force seemed to anticipate their every move, turning the hospital into a labyrinth of deception. Operating rooms became battlegrounds where the survivors faced not only the malevolent force but also the formidable adversaries in positions of authority. The struggle for justice transformed into a psychological war, with the higher people manipulating reality to protect the dark secrets of Hospital Evil. As the survivors delved deeper, they uncovered a conspiracy that reached beyond the hospital's walls. The global black market for organs was sustained by powerful individuals with insatiable appetites for wealth and influence. The malevolent force within Hospital Evil had become a puppet in a grander scheme, and the survivors found themselves ensnared in a web of corruption that transcended their understanding. Operating rooms, symbols of both hope and horror, became crucibles where the survivors fought not only for their lives, but for the very essence of humanity. The malevolent force, now a pawn in a sinister game, seemed to revel in the chaos it had sown. The survivors grappled with their own morality, torn between the pursuit of justice and the ever-looming threat of the malevolent force that fed on their vulnerabilities. In a climactic confrontation, the survivors faced the higher people who guarded the secrets of Hospital Evil. The malevolent force, now unleashed in all its supernatural fury, clashed with the desperate attempts of the survivors to expose the truth. Operating rooms became arenas of ethereal battles where the boundaries between the living and the malevolent force blurred. Despite their courage, the survivors found themselves outmatched. The higher people, entrenched in their positions of power, quashed the investigation and perpetuated the malevolent trade. Operating rooms, once symbols of healing, stood witness to the triumph of darkness. As the survivors retreated battered and broken, they understood that the malevolent force within Hospital Evil was a formidable adversary. The global black market for organs continued its ruthless trade, fueled by the insatiable greed of those who thrived in the shadows. Operating rooms now haunted by the echoes of the survivors' failed rebellion stood as silent witnesses to the malevolent force's unrelenting reign of terror, casting a perpetual shadow over the lives that would forever be entangled with the sinister legacy of hospital evil. And so the survivors, scarred by their harrowing encounters within the malevolent corridors of hospital evil, regrouped in the shadows. The relentless pursuit of justice fueled their determination. Even as the malevolent force within the hospital continued to cast its dark influence, operating rooms, once symbols of healing, remained tainted by the sins committed in the pursuit of profit. Dr. Adrian Turner and his resilient group of doctor assistants, driven by an unyielding sense of responsibility, sought unconventional allies. They delved into forgotten lore and consulted with individuals steeped in the arcane, hoping to uncover a way to break the malevolent force's grip on hospital evil. As the survivors ventured deeper into the hospital's secrets, they discovered an ancient ritual that held the key to weakening the malevolent force. Operating rooms, now infused with an air of ancient mysticism, became the battleground for a clash between the survivors' newfound knowledge and the malevolent force's supernatural might. In a daring attempt to disrupt the malevolent force, the survivors enacted the ritual within the very heart of hospital evil. Operating rooms echoed with incantations as ethereal energies clashed with the malevolent force's dark presence. The hospital seemed to resisting the intrusion into its supernatural domain. The ritual unleashed a maelstrom of energy that temporarily weakened the malevolent force. Operating rooms now bathed in an otherworldly glow bore witness to the survivors' audacious attempt to reclaim that hospital from the clutches of darkness. However, the malevolent force, though momentarily subdued, proved resilient. It retaliated with a ferocity that transcended the physical realm. Operating rooms, now warped by supernatural energies, became surreal landscapes where the survivors faced nightmarish manifestations of their deepest fears. As the survivors struggled against the malevolent force's onslaught, a revelation emerged from the shadows. An ancient artifact hidden within the depths of hospital evil possessed the potential to sever the malevolent force's connection to the world. Operating rooms, now fraught with spectral apparitions, became the final battleground for the survivors' desperate gamble. Armed with the ancient artifact, the survivors confronted the malevolent force in a climactic showdown. Operating rooms transformed into arenas of supernatural warfare as the artifact's power clashed with the malevolent force's maleficence. The very fabric of reality seemed to tremble as the survivors sought to banish the darkness that had haunted hospital evil. In a blinding burst of light, the ancient artifact's power overwhelmed the malevolent force. Operating rooms, once tainted by unspeakable horrors, were cleansed by the purifying energy. The survivors, battered and weary, emerged from the supernatural battlefield victorious, but forever marked by the ordeal. As hospital evil stood on the brink of collapse, the survivors faced a choice: to rebuild the hospital as a beacon of healing, or to leave its tainted halls behind. Operating rooms, now silent witnesses to the struggle between light and darkness, awaited the survivors' decision. In the aftermath of the supernatural clash, the survivors chose to dismantle the malevolent legacy of hospital evil. Operating rooms, once stages for unspeakable atrocities, became symbols of resilience and redemption as the survivors worked to erase the scars left by the malevolent force. Yet the shadows of hospital evil lingered in the collective memory of those who had faced the malevolent force. Operating rooms, now cleansed but forever haunted, served as a chilling reminder that the battle against darkness was an ongoing struggle, one that transcended the boundaries of the physical and the supernatural. As the survivors emerged into the light, they carried with them the weight of their experiences within the malevolent corridors of hospital evil. Operating rooms, once arenas of horror, now stood as testament to the indomitable human spirit that could defy even the darkest forces. The survivors, forever changed, walked away from the haunted halls, leaving behind a legacy of resilience in the face of unspeakable evil. In the heart of the city, hidden from the public eye, stood Hospital Evil, an ominous institution veiled in shadows. Within its sterile walls, a nefarious black market for organs thrived, orchestrating a sinister trade that preyed upon the unsuspecting visitors seeking medical help. Dr. Lydia Reynolds, a renowned surgeon at Hospital Evil, found herself entangled in a web of corruption. Unbeknownst to her patients, Lydia was part of a clandestine network led by unscrupulous traffickers and surgeons who saw human lives as mere commodities for profit. Operating rooms turned into scenes of horror as organs were harvested from unsuspecting victims, leaving a trail of lives destroyed by the malevolent deeds. The hospital, with its facade of medical legitimacy, became a hub for the macabre trade. Visitors seeking treatment for various ailments unknowingly fell prey to the ruthless criminals orchestrating this gruesome operation. Livers, kidneys, and hearts were extracted with precision, destined for the highest bidder on the global black market. As Lydia witnessed the devastation caused by her colleagues, a moral dilemma gnawed at her conscience. She knew she had to put an end to the heinous acts within Hospital Evil. Teaming up with fellow doctors and brave assistants, they embarked on a perilous journey to expose the truth. Their investigations, however, were met with formidable resistance. Higher powers deeply entrenched in the corridors of influence thwarted every attempt to bring the criminals to justice. The hospital's administrators, law enforcement officials, and influential figures colluded to protect the illicit operation. Operating rooms became battlegrounds as the brave few fought against the insidious forces controlling Hospital Evil. Lives were lost, reputations shattered, and the relentless pursuit of justice seemed futile. The web of corruption proved too vast, ensnaring even those who sought to expose it. Despite the odds, Lydia and her allies refused to surrender. They delved deeper into the dark underbelly of the hospital, unearthing secrets that implicated powerful individuals. The battle intensified, with the line between good and evil becoming increasingly blurred. In a race against time, Lydia and her team faced not only the physical dangers within the hospital, but also the psychological toll of confronting the evil that lurked in the hearts of their colleagues. As the world remained oblivious to the horrors unfolding behind Hospital Evil's sterile facade, the desperate struggle for justice continued. The story unfolds in a gripping narrative, navigating through the treacherous corridors of the hospital and the twisted minds of those who perpetuated the organ trade. Hospital Evil stands as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within institutions meant to heal, and the resilience required to confront such malevolence. As Lydia and her team delved deeper into the abyss of Hospital Evil, a new and malevolent force emerged. Dr. Victor Doom, a mysterious and ruthless surgeon with a twisted sense of justice. Dr. Doom's arrival sent shockwaves through the already chaotic hospital, as he became an enigmatic figure known for bringing death rather than healing. Unbeknownst to the rest of the staff, Dr. Doom had his own agenda disguised under the guise of medical expertise. He lurked in the shadows, targeting those he deemed unworthy of life. His surgical skills, once meant to save lives, were now wielded as instruments of doom. Patients who sought help from Hospital Evil found themselves at the mercy of a doctor who had forsaken his oath. As Lydia and her team raced against time to expose the organ trade, they stumbled upon Dr. Doom's malevolent actions. The operating rooms that were already scenes of horror became even more perilous, with Dr. Doom leaving a trail of death in his wake. Patients who sought refuge in the hospital were met with a sinister fate, their lives extinguished by the very hands meant to save them. Dr. Doom operated with a cold and calculated precision, leaving no room for mercy. His motives remained shrouded in darkness, and the team struggled to comprehend the chaos he unleashed. It became apparent that Dr. Doom saw himself as a harbinger of justice, purging the world of those he considered tainted. As Lydia and her team attempted to navigate the treacherous waters of Hospital Evil, they found themselves caught in a deadly game with Dr. Doom. His actions became increasingly unpredictable, and any attempt to thwart him led to dire consequences. The line between the doctors fighting for justice and the malevolent force within the hospital blurred. Further, the higher powers that protected the organ trade were not immune to Dr. Doom's wrath. In a twisted turn of events, he targeted those who wielded influence, leaving a trail of powerful figures lifeless in his wake. The hospital, already a breeding ground for corruption, descended further into chaos as the battle between good and evil played out within its walls. Lydia and her team, now facing not only the ruthless traffickers, but also the unpredictable menace of Dr. Doom, grappled with the enormity of their task. Each attempt to bring justice seemed to invite more peril, and the once hopeful mission became a desperate struggle for survival. As the narrative unfolded, the story explored the complex interplay between the doctors seeking justice, the criminal underworld orchestrating the organ trade, and the enigmatic Dr. Doom, whose motives remained shrouded in darkness. Hospital Evil became a battleground where the line between healing and destruction blurred, and the outcome remained uncertain in the face of overwhelming malevolence. The tension within Hospital Evil reached its apex as Dr. Doom's malevolence escalated. Kelly, a young and unsuspecting patient seeking medical help, unwittingly became the target of Dr. Doom's wrath. As she lay on the operating table, vulnerable and unaware of the impending danger, Dr. Doom began the sinister procedure to harvest her liver. Unbeknownst to Kelly, Dr. Doom had intentionally let her bleed during the extraction, prolonging her suffering. In his twisted sense of justice, he believed that those who sought aid from Hospital Evil were already tainted, deserving of a gruesome fate. As the operation unfolded, Lydia and her team raced against time to save Kelly, unaware of the impending tragedy. In the dimly lit operating room, the air thick with tension, Dr. Doom's cold and calculated hands worked methodically. Kelly's life hung in the balance, her fate at the mercy of a surgeon who had forsaken the Hippocratic oath. The team, realizing the urgency, burst into the room just as Dr. Doom prepared to complete the macabre procedure. A frantic struggle ensued as Lydia and her team fought to hold Dr. Doom's deadly intentions. The operating room became a battleground, with medical instruments clashing against the malevolent force that lurked within. Yet Dr. Doom, fueled by his twisted convictions, proved to be a formidable adversary. In a chilling twist, the confrontation took a tragic turn as Lydia desperately attempted to intervene. Dr. Doom, with an unsettling calmness, delivered a fatal blow to Kelly. The room fell silent, the only sound echoing being the heart monitor. Flatlining, Kelly's life had been extinguished on the operating table. A victim of the very institution meant to save her, the loss sent shockwaves through Lydia and her team, pushing them to the brink of despair. Dr. Doom, having claimed another life, vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a chilling reminder of the darkness that permeated Hospital Evil. The corridors echoed with the haunting aftermath of the failed attempt to save an innocent soul. As the news of Kelly's tragic fate spread, the hospital's reputation plummeted further into infamy. The once hidden horrors within its walls became a public spectacle, and the authorities could no longer turn a blind eye. The battle against the organ trade, corruption, and the enigmatic Dr. Doom intensified, fueled by a newfound determination to expose the malevolence that gripped Hospital Evil. The story took a poignant turn as Lydia and her team grappled with the devastating loss and the realization that their fight for justice came at a staggering cost. The narrative continued to unravel the complex web of deceit, weaving a tale of resilience in the face of unimaginable darkness within the walls of Hospital Evil. The pool of gloom that had settled over Hospital Evil deepened as the malevolent Dr. Doom continued his reign of terror. Jack, another unsuspecting patient seeking relief from spinal issues, became the next target of Dr. Doom's macabre experiments. Unbeknownst to Jack, his surgery for a seemingly routine disc transplant would turn into a nightmare as Jack lay unconscious on the operating table. Dr. Doom, his face obscured by a cold metallic mask, began the grotesque procedure. The operating room, already stained with the tragedy of Kelly's demise, became a chamber of horrors once again. Lydia and her team, haunted by the recent loss, were determined to prevent another innocent life from falling victim to the malevolent surgeon. In a twisted turn of events, Dr. Doom deliberately manipulated the disc transplant, introducing a lethal element that would ensure Jack's demise. As the surgical instruments danced in Dr. Doom's gloved hands, Lydia sensed an impending tragedy racing against time. She and her team attempted to decipher the cryptic clues left by their adversary. The operation room was plunged into an eerie silence, broken only by the rhythmic beeping of the monitoring equipment. Dr. Doom, operating with a sinister calmness, completed the transplant, and Jack's fate hung in the balance. Unbeknownst to the medical team, the lethal modification took effect, and the horror unfolded in agonizing slow motion as Jack regained consciousness. An excruciating pain seared through his spine. Unimaginable suffering replaced the relief he had hoped for. Lydia, realizing the malevolent alteration in the procedure, desperately tried to intervene. However, the damage had been done, and Jack's body contorted in agony in a cruel twist. Dr. Doom reveled in the anguish he had inflicted. The once promised recovery from spinal issues turned into a nightmarish descent into pain and despair. Lydia's attempts to save Jack were in vain, as the malevolent force within the hospital proved to be an insurmountable adversary. The operating room, now a stage for unspeakable horrors, witnessed Jack's life slipping away. The team, already scarred by previous losses, grappled with the devastating realization that Dr. Doom's sadistic experiments showed no mercy. Hospital evil became a haunting ground where the pursuit of healing led to unparalleled suffering. The news of Jack's tragic demise reverberated beyond the hospital walls, sending shockwaves through the medical community and society at large. The malevolent deeds within hospital evil could no longer be concealed, and the fight against corruption, organ trade, and Dr. Doom's reign of terror escalated to new heights. The story continued to unravel the dark secrets within the hospital, revealing a tapestry of horror woven with the blood and suffering of innocent lives. Lydia and her team, undeterred by the overwhelming darkness, pressed on in their quest for justice, knowing that the battle against hospital evil had only just begun. As Lydia and her team grappled with the haunting losses of Kelly and Jack, the shadow of Dr. Doom loomed larger over hospital evil. The malevolent surgeon continued his sadistic spree, leaving a trail of death and despair. The hospital, once a beacon of healing, had transformed into a nightmarish realm where the line between life and death blurred with every operation determined to expose the truth and end the reign of terror within the hospital. Lydia delved deeper into the labyrinth of corruption. Clues led her to the darkest corners of hospital evil, where clandestine meetings and secret chambers concealed the true extent of the evil that festered within. In a shocking revelation, Lydia discovered a network of individuals who willingly collaborated with Dr. Doom, furthering his malevolent agenda. High-ranking administrators, influential figures, and even fellow doctors were entwined in the web of corruption that sustained the organ trade and the sadistic experiments. The battle against evil had transcended the operating rooms. It was a war fought in the very heart of the institution. As Lydia's investigation intensified, she faced threats and intimidation from those who sought to protect the malevolent forces within hospital evil. The higher powers that controlled the narrative were relentless in their efforts to silence the truth, yet fueled by the memories of Kelly and Jack. Lydia and her team stood resilient against the tide of darkness. The narrative unfolded into a relentless pursuit of justice as Lydia confronted not only the tangible horrors within the hospital, but also the insidious forces that wielded power. Dr. Doom, his true identity still shrouded in mystery, continued to elude capture, leaving behind a trail of chaos and death. The hospital, once a symbol of healing, now stood as a chilling reminder of the depths to which humanity could sink in the pursuit of power and profit. The story, a tapestry of horror and resilience, wove through the lives of those who dared to challenge the malevolence within hospital evil. As Lydia and her team faced the malevolent forces head-on, the final confrontation with Dr. Doom drew near. The operating rooms, once sacred spaces for healing, became arenas of life and death struggles. The battle for justice reached its climax, and the fate of hospital evil hung in the balance, teetering on the edge between salvation and eternal darkness. A palpable sense of urgency. Lydia and her team closed in on the elusive Dr. Doom. The hospital, now a labyrinth of deceit and malevolence, seemed to pulse with an ominous energy as the final showdown approached. The corridors echoed with the desperate footsteps of those determined to unveil the truth and put an end to the reign of terror. As Lydia followed the trail of corruption, she discovered a hidden chamber deep within the bowels of Hospital Evil. It was here that the malevolent orchestrators of the organ trade and Dr. Doom's sadistic experiments convened. The room, dimly lit and suffused with an air of malevolence, became the battleground for the ultimate confrontation. Dr. Doom, masked and shrouded in darkness, stood at the center of the chamber, surrounded by the very individuals who had perpetuated the horrors within the hospital. Lydia and her team, armed with the weight of their losses and the determination to expose the truth, faced their adversaries with unwavering resolve. The ensuing confrontation unfolded in a crescendo of tension and chaos. Accusations and revelations filled the chamber as Lydia confronted the higher powers that had protected Dr. Doom and the illicit operations. The malevolent surgeon, undeterred by the accusations, reveled in the chaos, proclaiming a twisted sense of justice that justified his heinous actions. The room became a battleground not only of physical struggle, but also of moral reckoning. Lydia, fueled by the memories of Kelly and Jack, stood against the darkness that threatened to consume Hospital Evil. The malevolent figures, now unmasked, were forced to confront the consequences of their actions. In a startling turn, the tide shifted as revelations exposed the depths of depravity within the hospital's walls. The higher powers, once invincible, found themselves cornered by the undeniable truth. Dr. Doom, his sadistic reign coming to an end, faced the reckoning that had eluded him for so long as the chamber echoed with the culmination of the struggle. Lydia and her team emerged victorious. The malevolent forces within Hospital Evil were exposed, and the truth would no longer be buried beneath the facade of medical legitimacy. The hospital, tainted by its dark past, stood on the precipice of transformation. The narrative unfolded into a resolution that blended horror, justice and redemption. Hospital Evil, once a symbol of malevolence, faced the scrutiny of the public eye. Lydia and her team, scarred but resilient, embarked on the arduous journey of rebuilding trust and dismantling the sinister legacy that had gripped the institution. The story's conclusion marked a triumph over darkness, a testament to the indomitable spirit that could rise from the ashes of despair. Hospital Evil, forever changed by the revelations, now faced the daunting task of healing not only the physical wounds inflicted within its walls, but also the scars etched into the collective memory of those who had dared to challenge the depths of human malevolence. As the truth emerged from the shadows, Hospital Evil faced a reckoning that reverberated beyond its walls. The malevolent figures, once shrouded in secrecy, now stood exposed to the harsh light of justice. Lydia and her team, though scarred by the horrors they witnessed, became beacons of resilience and integrity in the face of overwhelming darkness. The higher powers that had protected Dr. Doom and perpetuated the organ trade were held accountable for their crimes. The legal system, fueled by the undeniable evidence presented by Lydia and her team, moved swiftly to bring the perpetrators to justice. The once mighty fortress of corruption crumbled, and the institution that had harbored malevolence now faced a thorough investigation and reform. In the aftermath of the revelations, the public demanded answers, and the authorities were compelled to address the systemic failures that allowed such horrors to persist. Hospital Evil, stripped of its facade, became a symbol of the collective struggle against corruption and the resilience of those who dared to challenge the status quo. Lydia, despite the toll the ordeal had taken on her and her team, found solace in the justice that prevailed. The memories of Kelly and Jack, though painful, fueled a commitment to ensure that their sacrifices were not in vain. The narrative, once a harrowing tale of horror, transformed into a story of triumph over malevolence and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The hospital, now under intense scrutiny, began a process of transformation. A new era dawned as The tainted walls witnessed the dismantling of the sinister legacy that had gripped it for so long. Lydia and her team, instrumental in bringing about change, became catalysts for healing and rebuilding trust in an institution that had lost its way. The story concluded with a sense of closure, acknowledging the scars left by the horrors within hospital evil, but also highlighting the resilience that emerged from the darkness as the shadows lifted. A new chapter unfolded, one that embraced transparency, accountability, and the pursuit of genuine healing. Hospital evil, once synonymous with malevolence, now faced a future shaped by the courage of those who refused to be silenced. The haunting legacy of Dr. Doom and the organ trade served as a stark reminder of the collective responsibility to safeguard the sanctity of institutions meant to heal and protect. The end, or is it?
Hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows. A secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. Hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within the halls of hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night, lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jazz surgeons dance with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. hospital evil. Darkness overflows. Jet surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jet surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jet surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove untold. Midnight scalpel cuts through the night. Echoing whispers of lost lives. In the depths of hospital evil sin. A haunting melody plays within. In the halls of hospital evil, darkness overflows. Jet surgeon stands with shadows, a secret no one knows. Beneath the sterile surface, a wicked scheme unfolds. A global black market for organs, a treasure trove